Thank you for joining us on our news desk on QTV. The headlines. Two people of the same family in Chiwamba district have been hacked to death by a suspected mental patient. Justice Minister Given Lubinda says it is an injustice to have a multitude of quacks pretending to be lawyers in the country. The Ministry of Lands says it will revoke 35,000 offer letters issued countrywide to non-payment of consideration fee by those offered. Here now is the news in detail. Two people of the same family in Chiwamba district have been hacked to death by a suspected mental patient. Zambia police spokesperson Esther Katongo has confirmed the incident, which happened yesterday around 06 hours. Ms. Katongo says the victims include a one-year-old female juvenile and a father identified as Muyukwakwibisa Kanema, aged 29, of Musena village, chief Liteta of Chiwamba district. She says both victims sustained multiple injuries as an axe is alleged to have been used in the act. Ms. Katongo says the suspect has since been detained in police custody while the bodies of the deceased are in Liteta Hospital mortuary awaiting post-mortem. Meanwhile, police in Lusaka have launched a manhunt for 3 armed criminals who on a Thursday night robbed and shot a resident of Kanyama in a robbery in which they stole 2,000 kwacha. Ms. Katongo says Brian Himwene, 29, a resident of Kanyama, sustained a bullet wound on the left arm while one of the robbers sustained a deep cut on the head after being hacked during the robbery that took place around 20 hours.
Brian Himwene, age 29, of Lusaka's Kanyama area. This was on 4th July 2018, and the same criminals are reported to have forced the door open and then stole about 2,000 kwacha from the occupants. And then when the neighbor heard the noise in the neighborhood, that was in the night around 02 hours, he got an axe and went to the rescue of the victim, Brian Himwene. So when he went out, he managed to hack in the head one criminal. And after realizing that one of their colleagues was hacked in the head, the criminal who had a pistol fired at the neighbor identified as Anton Chiruva, and he sustained bullet wounds and also fired at the owner of the house where they had gone to steal, and the owner is Brian Himwene, and both victims sustained bullet wounds. The criminals managed to escape, and the two victims were rushed to UTH.
And an identified woman believed to be aged between 20 and 30 years has been burnt beyond recognition in Lusaka's Kanyama area. Ms. Katongo says police in Kanyama received a report that there was a burnt body of an identified woman discovered by members of the public. Ms. Katongo says the body was burnt using tires in a bush along 70 Road after Chisomo Hospital along Mumbo Road. Meanwhile, a 28-year-old security guard at Zambia Zaire shops identified as Binwe Kolala was found dead with legs and hands tied from behind.
So the body has been picked and it was taken to Chunga Cemetery for post-mortem and burial. So if there are people who are missing a relative, a female, aged in the 30s, let them go to Kanyama Police and report that case, and report the case of the matter of a missing person. We have instituted investigations in the matter because when you look at the way the murder happened, it's like it was planned, because the same woman was burnt using tires. It's a very disturbing development, and we call upon members of the public to desist from taking the law into their own hands. Whenever they are grieved with anything, the best they can do is to follow what the law stipulates than going their own way. So whoever is going to be found in this case, or whoever who has information, should bring that information to the police so that all those that are behind this nasty killing of this woman can face justice.
Energy Minister Matthew Nkua has disclosed that ZESCO Limited owes the Mozambique Power Utility EDM A total of 53 million US dollars from the contract the two companies signed to mitigate the power shortage in the country faced from 2016. Mr. Nkua has told Parliament that as of 31st May 2018, the outstanding balance to EDM was 53 million US dollars, contrary to media reports that ZESCO owes EDM a total of $73 million. He has further clarified that EDM has not terminated the contract with ZESCO due to the balance owed, but that the contract came to an end in January 2018. Mr. Nkua says ZESCO decided to renew the contract because it is able to generate power to meet the national demand following the favorable rainfall the country received in the 2017-2018 rainy season. He has also refuted assertions that government is contemplating increasing electricity tariffs this year. The minister was responding to a question by Mazabuka Central Member of Parliament Gary Nkombo, who wanted to know whether EDM had suspended the supply of power to ZESCO over the money it is owed.
As earlier stated in C, as earlier stated in A, the country has enough electricity to meet national demand, and therefore there is no impact on the consumer. You may further wish to note that currently ZESCO is upgrading a system, and certain consumers might experience disruption in supply due to upgrade and system maintenance. ZESCO, with the help of government of the Republic of Zambia, has been paying for emergency power imports it contracted from EDM. However, there is still outstanding amounts which ZESCO is working hard to liquidate in the shortest possible time. As of 31st May 2018, the outstanding amount for EDM power imports was 53 million US dollars, as opposed to 70 million, which was reported in the media. We would like further to state that the two public utilities, EDM and ZESCO, continue to enjoy good relations and actively engage in other collaborative projects and having discussions on dismantling the current debts. Madam Speaker.
Justice Minister Given Lubinda says government would rather have a smaller number of quality lawyers practicing law in Zambia than have a multitude of quacks pretending to be lawyers. Mr. Lubinda says it is an injustice to have a multitude of quacks pretending to be providers of legal services in the country. He says despite the low pass rate at the Zambia Institute of Advanced Legal Education, ZIALE, the legal practitioners qualifying examination LPQE course should not be made porous. He states that government is against the LPQ course being accessible to those not worthy of being called to the Zambian bar and practicing law. Mr. Lubinda says this is in as much as there is need to ensure that the student rules are harmonized with the legal framework, the current needs of the 21st century learner and needs of the legal profession. He has since thanked the ZIALE Council and management for their efforts in bringing the needed reform to the LPQ course and the ZIALE in general. The Justice Minister was speaking in Lusaka at the second stakeholders consultative meeting to review the second draft of the student rules as contained in the Legal Practitioners Act.
Allow me to emphasize that in as much as we are here to ensure that the student rules are harmonized with the legal framework, the current needs of the 21st century learner and the mindset and needs of the legal profession, we are not here to make this course porous and accessible to those not worthy of being called to the Zambian bar and practicing law. When I've lamented what to me has been a poor pass rate at ZIALE, I have not proposed in any way a compromise in the quality of lawyers in the country. You in this profession owe it to society to provide high quality legal services. To have a multitude of quacks pretending to be providers of legal services is an injustice.
The Patriots for Economic Progress, PEP, has welcomed government's intentions to introduce cyber laws. PEP President Sean Tembo says such laws will bring about sanity in the cyberspace. Mr. Tembo says there is no question that the cyberspace, just like the physical space, needs to be policed so as to ensure that there is a mechanism to hold everyone accountable for their actions on the internet. He has told Q News that it is unreasonable to oppose what people have not seen, stating that if the proposed cyber laws that are about to be introduced to Parliament contain provisions that are inimical to stifle the rights, freedoms and liberties of expression as enshrined in Articles 20 and 21 of the Republican Constitution, then he will challenge those specific provisions by approaching the courts of law to seek appropriate reliefs. He has since advised Zambians not only to promote the rights of the citizens to freely express themselves, but also take responsibility for what they say or write about others.
Our position on this matter is basically that such cyber laws are more than welcome. In fact, they are long overdue, for the simple reason that the cyberspace, just like the physical space, needs to be regulated so that people are held accountable for what they say or write about others. If government uses these proposed cyber laws to basically infringe and stifle the rights, freedoms and liberties of expression of the citizens, then we can challenge government on that basis. We can approach the courts of law and seek the appropriate redress or reliefs. But it would be unreasonable to basically object to such proposed laws before we actually go through them to see if there are any offending provisions. Our view is that over a long period of time now, there are certain quarters, certain political parties who have basically utilized the faceless online media to assault others, to slander other political opponents. And this situation cannot be allowed to go unabated. These proposed cyber laws will ensure that the citizens do not only enjoy their rights and freedoms of expressions, but are also held accountable for what they do on the internet.
The Ministry of Land says it is in the process of revoking 35,000 offer letters issued countrywide due to non-payment of consideration fee by those in possession of the documents. Lands Minister Jean Kapata says the 35,000 plots will be re-advertised once repossessed so that deserving Zambians who are willing and able to pay the required fee can get them. Ms. Kapata says government is being deprived of revenue by the people in possession of the offer letters in question. She says the delay to pay consideration fee by those who have been issued with offer letters is negatively affecting the implementation of the national titling program. The minister has since advised those in possession of the offer letters to pay the consideration fee within 2 weeks or have their offer letters revoked and their land re-advertised.
These offer letters is not only in Lusaka, but it's countrywide. So I'm calling upon all those that have not paid their dues to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to do so, because in the next 2 weeks we are going to have to revoke the offer letter so that we can re-offer other Zambians that can come and pay, because this for us to make sure that we have the title deeds that we are talking about. Everybody out there who has an offer letter, consideration fees should be paid immediately so that we help them get their titles. These offer letters is not only in Lusaka, but it's countrywide. So I'm calling upon all those.
A teacher from the United States has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of rape, unlawful wounding, and being in possession of offensive weapons in Lusaka Magistrate Court. Namdi Israel, 40, from Florida, United States, is in the first count alleged to have had unlawful carnal knowledge of Mavis Namfukwe without her consent on 21st June 2018. In the second count, Israel is on the same date in Lusaka alleged to have wounded one Abdul Martine. And in the third count, Israel is alleged to have had unlawful possession of offensive weapons, namely 1 sword, 1 machete, a taser, a paper spray, 1 container of BB pallets, 3 throwing knives, and 1 retractable knife. He denied all the charges leveled against him. Magistrate Friday Samaundu has since adjourned the matter to 19th July for mention and 27th July 2018 for commencement of trial. Zambia Civic Education Association Executive Director Judith Mlenga has expressed disappointment over the failure by mayoral candidates to explain how they will address issues affecting children in the city. Ms. Mlenga told Q News that none of the mayoral candidates have said what they intend to do for the children in the city. despite the fact that children and youths make up a reasonable number of the city's population. She states that the right to good education and recreation facilities is a basic right for children which should be seriously considered. Ms. Mulenga has also wondered why the candidates are not talking about how they will implement the decentralization policy when the council has been given more powers under the policy.
I've heard a lot of promises that doesn't speak to the children's well-being. I think what the problem is that, you know, the mayoral candidates, okay, I've got the pronunciation, mayoral candidates, they think they are coming up because the elective mayors started in 2016. So most of them think that they are coming up with, they are going to be a new position with new laws and functions. But when you look at the laws, what it prescribes right now is that, you know, a mayor doesn't have many of the powers that many of them are beginning to to promise the electorate. Like, apart from presiding over council meetings, the mayor has got overly an oversight role on the functions of the council. For example, they have an oversight role to ensure that policy is implemented. They have an oversight role to ensure that the annual budget and implementation is done according to what the needs of the people are.
And aspiring Lusaka mayoral candidates in the July 26th by-election have been challenged to come up with proper plans for modernizing Lusaka city. BIZ campaign founder Evans Ngoma says whoever emerges winner of the by-election should focus on the city's infrastructure development. Mr. Ngoma says there is need to ensure the construction of buildings that will stand the test of time, especially given the diminishing space for the construction in the city.
My expectations for the new mayor of the greater city of Lusaka are that he is going to regulate the way people construct buildings in the CBD. You look at certain structures, they are far below par, and I wonder if they go through the council to approve these buildings, knowing very well that there is literally no land in Lusaka, and so every land that is there must be well utilized to accommodate the main accommodation challenges, be it office space or residential accommodation. So my expectations are that this mayor should work towards that, and also must make sure that our men and women are trading in decent places with clean toilets. Just everything about it all should be.
The Patriotic Front, PF, says it is deceitful for National Democratic Congress NDC mayoral candidate Savoy Imboila to state that she will bring back street vending if elected in the office. PF Media Director Sandy Chanda says this cannot happen because there is already a statutory instrument banning street vending. Mr. Chanda has told Q News that the mayor does not have such powers, adding that he or she cannot overrule a statutory instrument which is already in place. Ms. Imboila has promised to allow street vending on selected days in some parts of Lusaka.
For starters, that is a worst deception that anyone can ever say to the electorate. And unfortunately, she's buying into what their failed consultant tries to do, and that is to play politics of placation and tell lies to the Zambian people. In case the NDC does not know, the mayor, number one, does not have those powers. Number two, there's an SI in place which the mayor has no power to overrule or to rescind. And so it's all lies, it's all deception. The more reason why we've said that we are not interested in joining the NDC in the race to the bottom, because clearly that is what their candidate unfortunately is projecting, even in this race. But I mean, we're not going to belabor this point. We think that she's a victim, and when you have a consultant who is as distorted and as misplaced, you have a consultant who is such a flip-flopper, we don't expect anything better apart from a deceit coming from their mayoral candidate. Unfortunately, she's joined a club of amateurs and a club that cannot even deliver.
The Africa Consumer Union, ACU, says high connection fees by ZESCO are a stumbling block to small and medium entrepreneurs, SMEs, in the country. ACU First Vice President Muyunda Ililonga tells QTV News that this is choking entrepreneurship in the country. Mr. Ililonga says while institutions such as ZESCO are critical for generating economic growth, alleviating poverty and increasing competitiveness, the poor performance of the state enterprise has instead choked entrepreneurship in the country. He adds that while Zambians have ventured in agriculture for business by developing small holdings in the peri-urban areas of most of the cities, they have accused ZESCO of failing to connect their small holdings to electricity, thereby hindering them from expanding their production and, more importantly, from adding value to other products. Mr. Ililonga has since called for ZESCO to be thoroughly restructured to sustain competition and improve services to consumers. Millennium Challenge Account Zambia Communications and Outreach Director John Kunda says part of Mumba Road will next week be cut in order to facilitate the laying of water supply pipes. Dr. Kunda has told Q News that contractors engaged to carry out the works is on site, and Millennium Challenge Account Zambia has since communicated to the Road Development Agency over the works, which are likely to affect parts of the road. He has disclosed that the works along Mumba Road are part of the major works being done by Millennium Challenge Account Zambia aimed at improving water supply in Lusaka. Dr. Kunda has since appealed to motorists to be patient as the roads will be opened as soon as the works are done.
Under the Lusaka Water Supply, Sanitation and Drainage Project, as you are aware, we are laying a number of water supply networks in the city of Lusaka. And one of the areas that has been impacted positively by this investment, places like Mtendere, Kamanga, SOS East, Chipata Compound, Chazanga, a number of compounds within the city of Lusaka, about 14 compounds are seeing replacements of old pipes with new pipes. Additionally, a number of places need to receive new water, and in order to be able to deliver this water, we are sending huge pipes to these areas. For example, we are laying a network along Tokyo Way, which you might have seen, a 900 millimeter low carbon steel pipe, big pipe. The other one we've laid along Kamloops Road. But the other one needs to be laid just alongside Lumumba Road. But we've agreed with RDA that we are going to cut part of Lumumba Road, Mumbwa Road, which is coming towards Lumumba Distribution Center. That is going to impact negatively on traffic flow. As you noticed, we cut Kafue Road and we've already laid the pipe there and we've finished the works there. But we are now going to be cutting Mumbwa Road, which is quite a busy road coming towards the Lumumba substation, where water that supplies Matero, Chipata Compound, Ngombe, and other surrounding areas, is located. So that particular distribution center will be receiving a new pipeline coming from Chibolia and then turning into Mumbwa Road. So we'll be cutting half of Mumbwa Road and it will be reinstated immediately we finish the works.
The Bankers Association of Zambia is pleased that most banks are putting up automated infrastructure, such as depositing facilities at ATMs as a way of improving service delivery to the people. BSA Chief Executive Officer Leonard Mwanza tells Q News that currently the country has 5 commercial banks operating ATM depositing services, a situation he says will make banks accessible to customers 24/7. Mr. Mwanza says it has always been the hope of the association for banks to have fewer people lining up to deposit or access services. He has since urged members of the public to make use of the ATM depositing facilities in order to save on time.
We would like to see more and more people be in a position of having access to the bank, and the bank should be accessed 24/7. So it does not necessarily mean people have to go over the counter to deposit the cash. We now have 5 banks. We've deployed deposit-taking ATMs, and those deposit-taking ATMs are available 24/7 to any client. So we want to see a situation in that business trader who knocks off a little bit later and they've got a bit of cash, as opposed to taking the cash home or leaving it at their business premises. They can actually walk over to the nearest deposit receiving ATM and put the money in that particular bank account and walk home without the fear of maybe losing that money for one reason or the other. So particularly it's an innovation that we've seen from the commercial banks who try and decongest the banking halls to allow people to have to allow people to have the ability to basically deposit as and when they feel like depositing money in a particular bank account. So that's the way to go. And right now, we're actually reviewing the deposit taking machines right now. We want to see maybe the next few months to actually enhance those deposit taking ATMs so that on one hand you can deposit, but immediately the cash is deposited, it can be recycled and pushed into the deposit dispensing.
The Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, says the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, CFTA, will hasten the pace of industrialization depending on individual countries' development agenda. COMESA Director for Trade, Customs and Monetary Affairs, Francis Mangeni, says the CFTA will not only hasten the development agenda for the individual countries, but will open up the market for cross-border traders. Mr. Mangeni says the indication by countries such as South Africa and Botswana to ratify the CFTA is a good move, as it will allow for increased trade among countries. He said this on the sideline of the COMESA Tripartite Free Trade Area meeting in Lusaka.
Now, in order to fast track, because this period is so long, to fast track these processes, it was said, all right, let us not wait until each region has a customs union, because it might be difficult for each region to reach the stage of a customs union. Let us just fast track it and establish a continental free trade area. So now that's where we have reached, where they are building on the red FTAs to form a continental free trade area. But I should point out that there are some regions which are lagging behind, like Central Africa, who doesn't have an FTA. North Africa doesn't have an FTA. So these ones probably we will have to try to catch up under the framework of the continental free trade area. Then in 2019, which is supposed to be next year, is when we are supposed to have the continental customs union. But as I've just told you, maybe that's not realistic, because some regions have not formed customs unions yet. And customs unions are very sensitive issues because of the revenue implications. So that's where we are now. We are not yet at a continental common market, we are not yet at a continental economic union.
Meanwhile, COMESA Program Coordinator for the Tripartite Capacity Building Program, Trade and Customs, Dr. Seth Gore, has disclosed that about 500 traders in the region have been trained on what the Tripartite Free Trade Area will require, while the National Monitoring Committee for Zambia consists of 35 people from the Ministry of Commerce and other line ministries.
So I want to respond to the question on local sourcing partnership and the trainings on the National Monitoring Committee members. Now, the training on the local sourcing partnership has been done. 500 people actually have been trained for local sourcing partnership, but this is in the entire tripartite region, not in Zambia. And so not in Zambia alone, in the entire region. And the 350 National Monitoring Committee members that have been trained are not for Zambia, but for the entire region. But Zambia, the National Monitoring Committee for Zambia, so far about 35 have been trained for Zambia.
We now turn to sport. Youth, Sport and Child Development Minister Moses Mawere has commended Zamtel for its continued investment in sport and physical activities in the country. Speaking when he received a check of 100,000 kwacha towards the sponsorship of the 2018 Chova bicycle race competition to be held in Eastern Province this year, Mr. Mawere says his ministry takes pride in this event because it has transformed the lives of people in Eastern Province. Mawere says this is in line with government's policy which promotes private partnership in the development of sport. Mawere says the people of Eastern Province have embraced bicycles as a form of transport and that the bicycles are used to promote tourism to the province. Chova is a sporting event covering a 50-kilometer round-trip distance which takes place in Eastern Province every year.
The Chova competition
is one such event that every Zambian should associate with. The ministry takes pride in this event, and as such, would want to assure you that Chipata has transformed over the years, over this competition, which almost everyone, all of us, we have done this sport before. Some of us who are here, we have been cycling since we were born in Chipata, and we have been doing business with bicycles, going to Malawi, coming back into Chipata, doing business with this transport. And this transport is very popular among our people in Chipata. Our colleagues in the Eastern Province, ladies and gentlemen, have embraced bicycles as a form of transport and are now using bicycles as a tool to promote tourism in Eastern Province. Additionally, cycling is one physical activity that improves physical fitness and well-being among the people. So I would want to encourage all Zambians, apart from maybe going for gym, also playing other sports disciplines, you can still have a bicycle, which you at least to provide a mode of transport. At the same time, it makes you be fit. Once again, I want to thank Zamtel for investing in sport and physical activity. Your institution has demonstrated this over the years in various sports disciplines, and for that, we would want to applaud you and encourage you to continue on that path.
Speaking when he presented, said of the 100,000 kwacha donation, 70,000 kwacha is cash injection for logistics for the competition, while the balance of 30,000 kwacha will be spent on brand-related materials and T-shirts to make the ceremony even more colorful. Mupeta says the Chova race has continued to grow in stature and now occupies a very significant position in the country's sporting and social calendar.
So our presence in the Eastern Province is there to stay. You probably realize that we have actually done quite a lot of branding to show some of your presence going forward. So our involvement is just starting. We will work together on this very important event. Our Sport Honorable Minister promotes the well-being of our people, and our role as Zamtel is to be part of that promotion of that good well-being. And it's an important event which, as you understand, ladies and gentlemen, it's something which we see as it should have a national character as we grow. I've been told that the people that it attracts are quite a lot. I'm told Chipata comes to a standstill when this event is happening. And I think that's an event that from Zamtel end, we are happy to be associated with. Our customers, we value them that much that we have to be there wherever our customers are. And promotion of health through sport is something that we'll continue to do. So this is a privilege on our end to work with our customers. And through you, your office, Honorable Minister, your ministry, we'll continue to work together on such events and make sure that we become relevant to what is going through.
And Chova Organization Committee co-chairperson Absalom Miti has thanked Zamtel for the donation, saying it has come at the right time as it will help in all logistic required during the event.
Honorable Minister, the theme this year is Chova 16 years of Ubuntu, because we want to work together in the community. Road safety, good health, environmental protection. The inaugural winner of the Chova was Agrippa Mwanza in 2002. We have developed from a 28.9 kilometer race with a current 52.2 kilometers. The route is deliberately designed to move around the town of Chipata so that everybody is part of the race. This year, last year, the winner for the men's race was Manchester.
The sporting item concludes our news this hour. Before I take a run, here is a relook at the headlines. 2 people of the same family in Chiwamba district have been hacked to death by a suspected mental patient. Justice Minister Given Lubinda says it is an injustice to have a multitude of quacks pretending to be lawyers in the country. The Ministry of Lands says it will revoke 35,000 offer letters issued countrywide due to non-payment of consideration fee by those offered. That's all for the news. Bye-bye. God bless. Continue watching QTV.